Top 60, English Channel, Video 09, What Children Often Don't Understand. On Parents Aging. Opening. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt that the people around you, even the people you love most, simply don't understand what's going on inside you? Not because they are bad people, not because they don't care, but that's because they've never experienced what you're experiencing now. Because aging, real aging, not the kind you see in vitamin commercials with smiling people on a beach, that real aging is an experience that only those going through it can truly feel. And today I want to talk about that, about the silent chasm that sometimes exists between parents and children, regarding things your children probably don't understand, not because they don't want to, but because no one has ever sat down with them and explained them. And who knows, by the end of this video, some of these bridges might start to be rebuilt. Because you deserve to be understood. Completely. So stick with me, because what I'm about to share could change the way you relate to your children, and the way they relate to you. They think you're slowing down. The truth is different. Block 1.1, The Myth of Slowness. Let me start with a story. Robert is 68 years old. He has spent his entire life as a civil engineer. He has built bridges, planned highways, and led teams of dozens of people. The man knows how to reason. The man knows how to solve problems. But one day, at the dinner table, he was thinking before answering a question from his youngest son. Just thinking. And the son, a well-meaning, caring 34-year-old man, turned to his wife and whispered, thinking his father wouldn't hear, "Do you think Dad is okay? He seems slower." Robert heard, and it stayed inside him for weeks, because he wasn't slow. He was pondering. He was using decades of experience to formulate a careful, precise, honest answer. This isn't slowness. This is wisdom working in real time, and science confirms this. Researchers at the University of Texas studied how the brain processes information throughout life. And they discovered that older adults don't get slower because their brains are failing. They get slower because their database is exponentially larger. Imagine trying to find information in a file with 1,000 documents versus searching in a file with 50,000 documents. The second will take longer, but will yield a much richer answer. Your child sees slow processing. What actually exists is depth. Block 1.2, What Neuroscience Says About the Brain After Age 60. In 2023, research published in the Journal of Neuroscience showed something that should completely change the conversation about cognitive aging. Adults aged 60, 70, and even 80 showed superior performance in tasks that require the integration of multiple pieces of information. Exactly the type of reasoning needed to make important decisions in real life. Were they slower in pure speed tests? Yes, but they were more precise, more emotionally balanced, and they made fewer catastrophic mistakes. Do you know what that means? It means that when your 40-year-old son acts on impulse because the young brain is quick and impulsive, and you hesitate, you weigh things up, you consider, you are not failing. You are functioning exactly as a highly calibrated system should function. The problem isn't the processing power. The problem is that our culture, especially here in the United States, overvalues speed and undervalues accuracy. In a country that glorifies the frenetic pace, the fast-growing startup, the end-of-quarter bonus, stopping to think seems like a flaw. No, it isn't. It's a virtue that younger generations haven't yet learned to value. Block 1.3, The Memory They Say is Failing. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but what about memory? Sometimes I really do forget things. Let's be honest about it. Yes, certain types of memory change with age. Working memory, the ability to hold a lot of information in your head at once, can decline somewhat. But what about semantic memory? procedural memory, emotional memory, these remain extremely stable and often become sharper over time. You may not remember where you put your car keys, but you remember exactly how to act when someone in your family is in crisis. You remember how to navigate difficult situations because you've navigated dozens of them. And your children, they've forgotten that you taught them to ride a bike, that you stayed up all night when they had a fever, that you worked 2 jobs so they could go to college. The memory that truly matters, the memory of love, loyalty, and sacrifice, that one is still here, and it will continue here. Part 2. They don't understand what parental loneliness is like. Block 2.1, the loneliness that has no name. There's a type of loneliness that's almost impossible to explain to someone who's never felt it. It's not the loneliness of being alone in a room. It's not the loneliness of not having friends. It's the loneliness of being in a room full of people you love, your children, your grandchildren, maybe family, friends, and feeling like nobody really sees you. Not the you of today, the complete you, the you with history, with depth, with opinions, with desires, with fears. Dorothy is 72 years old. She lives in Phoenix, Arizona. Her 3 children live less than an hour away. They call every week. They come over on holidays. And yet, Dorothy felt a loneliness she could never name, until one day she wrote in her diary, "They love me as if I were a historical document. They preserve me, they visit me, but they don't read me anymore." This is what your children often don't understand. You don't want to be treated like a precious, fragile object. You want to be engaged as a living, thinking, feeling human being. Block 2.2, the epidemic of senior loneliness in the United States. This is not emotional overreaction. This is a public health crisis. The Surgeon General of the United States, Dr. Vivek Murthy, declared loneliness a national epidemic in 2023. Not a worrying trend, an epidemic. And within this epidemic, adults over 60 are especially vulnerable. Why? Because the natural social networks that sustained us during adulthood are dwindling. Work, which for many Americans was the primary source of social connection, ended with retirement. Friends get sick or die. Children have their own lives, their own careers, their own children. And suddenly, a person who has spent 40 years being active, involved, and needed, wakes up one day and realizes that the phone no longer rings as frequently. And the cruelest thing is that this doesn't happen because the children are selfish or careless. It happens because they can't imagine that the father who always seemed so solid, so strong, so capable, now needs connection, validation, presence. Block 2.3, what loneliness does to the body. Pay attention because this is important. Science has repeatedly shown that chronic loneliness has the same impact on physical health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. 15 cigarettes a day. This isn't poetry. This is biochemistry. Loneliness chronically raises cortisol levels, the stress hormone. And chronically elevated cortisol deteriorates the immune system, causes inflammation in blood vessels, increases cardiovascular risk, and accelerates cognitive decline. In other words, a father who feels invisible to his children is not just emotionally sad. He is getting sick, and their children probably don't know that. Probably no one ever told them that the visit they postponed, the phone call that was left for tomorrow, these have real, physical, measurable consequences. Not to torment whoever is listening to this now, to give you some perspective, so that you understand why what you feel is valid, is real, is important, and so that perhaps you can find the words to share this with your children. Part 3. They don't understand that you still have dreams. Block 3.1, the cruelest assumption. There is an unspoken assumption that children hold about their older parents. And it's never said aloud, but it's present in the way they ask questions, in the expectations they have, in the way they react when you talk about future plans. The assumption is this: that after a certain age, you've already accomplished everything you had to accomplish, that your best days are behind you, that what remains is simply maintenance, health, bills, activities to keep the mind active. That's a cruel assumption, and it's completely false. Margaret is 74 years old. She spent her life raising 4 children, working as an executive secretary, and taking care of the home. At 71, she enrolled in a watercolor course. At 72, she had her first exhibition at a local gallery in Portland, Oregon. When she told her eldest son, a successful 48-year-old man, he said, with a gentle smile that hid disbelief, "How cute, Mom. It's good that you have a hobby, pastime, not a passion, not an achievement, not a second flowering after decades of service to others. A hobby." Margaret continued painting anyway. Today, she sells her artwork online and has clients in 6 states. But that word still hurts. Block 3.2, the research that changed everything about life purpose. Dr. Dan Buettner has spent decades studying the regions of the world where people live the longest, the so-called blue zones. Sardinia in Italy, Okinawa in Japan, Ikaria in Greece, Nicoya in Costa Rica, and Loma Linda in California. And one of the most consistent findings across all these places was this: the people who live longer and better lives are not those who stopped wanting. They are those who continued wanting. In Okinawa, there's a word that doesn't have a direct English translation: ikigai. It roughly means the reason you wake up in the morning. And the 80, 90, even 100-year-old people in those communities still had a clear ikigai. They still had something that made tomorrow worthwhile. Here in the United States, the culture tends to dictate that after retirement, the purpose should be rest. Golf, travel, grandchildren, and these things are beautiful, but they don't replace the profound sense that you still have something to contribute, something to learn, something to become. By reducing your plans to the status of hobby, your children are inadvertently depriving you of what science points to as one of the greatest factors in healthy longevity. They don't know they're doing it, but they are. Block 3.3, your dreams are legitimate. You want to learn to play guitar at 67? That's perfectly legitimate. Do you want to write the book that's been on your mind for 30 years? That's perfectly legitimate. Do you want to start a small business, volunteer in another city, learn a new language, get a pilot's license, plant a vegetable garden and sell it at the local market? All of this, completely legitimate. And no child, however well-intentioned, has the right to reduce their dreams to a size that they can process. You are not finished. You are here. And as long as you are here, you have the right to continue becoming. Part 4, they don't understand body pain and how you carry it. Block 4.1, the body as a known landscape. When you're 30, your body is a place you inhabit without thinking too much about it. You wake up, get out of bed, start your day, and your body simply goes along with it without complaining, without asking for attention. After a certain age, the body begins to have a voice of its own. It's not necessarily an alarm bell. It's not necessarily illness, although sometimes it is. It's simply presence. The body is more present, more audible. That knee pain when going down the stairs, the stiffness on winter mornings, the fatigue that appears earlier in the day, the longer time it takes for the eye to adjust from light to shadow. Their children see these things and become concerned, which is love. But often, the form that concern takes becomes patronizing. They start making your choices for you. James is 71 years old. He lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. He has spent his life as a carpenter, has strong hands, and knows his body like no one else. But after he had hip surgery, which was successful with a good recovery, his daughter started calling every time he mentioned any physical activity. "Dad, are you sure? Shouldn't you get more rest? Let me check with the doctor." James understands that she cares, but the message he receives, the message that seeps beneath the words, is, "You are no longer able to judge what is good for you." And this, whether said or not, erodes dignity in a way that is very difficult to explain to those who are not experiencing it. Section 4.2: The difference between chronic pain and disability. Here's something your children need to understand, and that you may never have put into clear words. Chronic pain and disability are not the same thing. Millions of Americans in their 60s, 70s, and 80s live with some level of everyday pain, arthritis, back pain, neuropathy, and yet manage their lives with competence, autonomy, and satisfaction. We learned to coexist. We learned to negotiate with the body. We learned when to push and when to yield. This is not denial. This is mastery. A marathon runner knows exactly how to distinguish productive training pain from pain that signals injury. You, with decades of experience inhabiting this specific body, have similar knowledge. Your children, with all the good intentions, often lack both the life experience and the intimate knowledge of their bodies that you have. And when they insist on making decisions for you, changing your diet, limiting your activities, anxiously questioning every symptom, they are prioritizing their own anxiety over your competence. This doesn't mean you should ignore serious warning signs. It means the line between care and control is much thinner than most children realize. Block 4.3: What you need them to know. What most older parents really want, not paternalism, not decisions made for them, is one simple thing: to be asked. How are you feeling about this? What do you need from me right now? How can I help without taking control? These questions treat you as an adult, as the authority over your own life, as someone who still has a central role in making decisions about yourself. And perhaps, as you watch this video, you'll find the courage to say this directly to your children, because they don't know what wasn't said. Part 5: They don't understand what retirement really means. Block 5.1: The lie of retirement paradise. American culture has constructed a very specific narrative about retirement. You work your whole life, you save, and then release. Golf, travel, garden, grandchildren. The golden sunset of a life well lived. And some days are exactly like that. Beautiful, light, grateful. But what no one tells you, what your children probably can't imagine, is the darker side of the transition. For many people, work was not just a source of income. It was a source of identity, of structure, of daily purpose, of community. And when that goes away, all at once, on a specific date, with a farewell party and a golden plaque, something much deeper goes with it. The question that never needed to be asked before starts to appear in the mind, sometimes first thing in the morning. Who am I now? Richard had been a bank manager in Memphis for 38 years. Respected, well known. When he came to work, there was a structure around him that gave meaning to every hour of the day. In his first month of retirement, he thought he was in paradise. By the third month, he was waking up at 3 in the morning with no explanation for why. His children saw a man resting. What was happening inside him was an identity crisis that none of them had the vocabulary to recognize. Block 5.2: The grief nobody mentions. There is a grief that accompanies retirement that is rarely recognized as grief. Because how are you going to explain that you're grieving for something that was supposed to be an achievement? How do you tell your son you're sad about having to stop working when he's paying for your grandchildren's college education and barely has time to breathe? So you don't say, you smile. You talk about the trips you want to take. You take care of your grandchildren with genuine joy. And inside, you carry something that hasn't been named. Psychologist Mary Piffer, who spent years working with older adults, describes this as a state of double loss. The person loses the role that defined them, and at the same time loses the right to complain about that loss because socially gratitude is expected. And their children, with their busy lives, simply can't see that. Not because they don't care, but because they haven't been prepared to see it. Block 5.3, the reconfiguration of identity. But here is another truth equally important. Retirement can be, and has been for many people, one of the most creative and meaningful periods of life. Not automatically, not passively, but deliberately. When you begin to rebuild your identity not based on what you do, but on who you are, when you discover that there is a self that exists beyond the role you played, something changes. And this process, this transition, needs time. It needs space. And ideally, it needs children who understand that you are in a process, not a problem. You don't need immediate answers. You don't need solutions from your children. Sometimes all you need is for someone to ask, "How are you navigating this phase, Dad? What's been difficult, Mom?" Not to solve, to acknowledge. And sometimes, recognition is everything. Part 6, what they should hear and how you can say it. Block 6.1, the conversation that changes everything. We've gotten to the heart of this video, because everything we've talked about so far, the brain, loneliness, dreams, the body, identity, culminates in a practical question. What do I do with all this? And the answer, however simple it may seem, is you need to have the conversation. Not the accusatory conversation. Not the conversation that starts with, "You never understand," or "You're never here." The vulnerable conversation. The conversation that begins with, "I need to tell you how I really feel." In the United States, there is a very strong cultural tendency to shield children, even when they are adults, from our inner struggles, to show them only the functional version of ourselves. But this protection comes at a cost. The cost is that your children don't know you. They know the sanitized version of you. And when the desire to connect more deeply arises, they don't find a place to land. Block 6.2, phrases that build bridges. You don't need a script, but sometimes having a few key phrases can open doors that have been closed for years. For example, when you feel you are being treated as incapable, you can say, "I know you care about me, and I love that about you. What I need you to know is that I still know myself very well. When I need help making decisions, I'll ask you, is that okay?" When you feel the invisible loneliness, you can say, "There's something I've never known how to say, but it needs to be said. Sometimes I feel less present in your lives than I'd like. Not to blame you. I know you have a million things to do. I just want you to know that a 5-minute call, once a week, makes a difference that goes beyond what you can imagine." When your dreams are minimized, you can say, "What I'm doing isn't just a hobby for me. It's part of who I'm becoming at this stage of my life. I need you to take this seriously, just as I took your projects seriously when you were younger." These conversations are difficult. They require courage, especially in a culture that doesn't have much experience with intergenerational vulnerability. But they are possible, and they are worthwhile. Block 6.3, what you know they will still learn. There's something only you can know right now, and that your children will understand someday, but they can't know it yet. Time passes differently when you're on this side. When you're 35 or 40, you feel like you have all the time in the world. The future is long. Opportunities pile up. There will always be time for that conversation you postponed, that visit you rescheduled, that hug you forgot to give. When you're 65, 70, 75, with a clarity that isn't sad but precise, that time is a finite resource, that there's no guaranteed version of tomorrow. And this clarity is not morbidity. It is wisdom. It's the same clarity that makes you look at a sunset and feel something your children can't yet feel. Because for them, there are 1,000 sunsets ahead. You don't need them to understand this now. They will understand. Life will teach them. What you can do now is use that clarity you have, that wisdom that came with dearly, to create moments that matter, to say things before it's too late, to ask the questions you've always put off, to build deliberate, not accidental memories. Because in the end, it's not the conversations you had that you'll miss. These are the ones you didn't have. Closing. Final block 7.1, what you deserve. Before I finish, I want to say something directly to you. You deserve to be seen, not as an aged version of who you were, as the most complete version of who you are now. With everything you carry, the scars, the wisdom, the dreams you haven't yet fulfilled, the longing, the gratitude, the fears, the curiosities.